folks need to know that you don't need to be a movie star. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to be some type of celebrity or an athlete to make a difference in your community, to make a difference in your state, to make a difference in the country, much less the world. And if folks could see a person like me, especially from where I came from, right? What I can't even practice law until my civil rights have been restored, right? I
Mhm.
can't live anywhere I want to live because HOAs prevent people whose rights have not been restored from owning or even renting a home, right? And then, of course, the biggest thing of them all was I couldn't vote, right? I seen that four politicians could arbitrarily decide which American citizen get to vote and which American citizen don't get to vote. I thought there was something inherently wrong with that. No matter what party they're from, whether they're Democrat, Republican, or whatever, four politicians should never have that much power to decide. Matter of fact, no politician should have that much power to decide which American citizen get the vote. And so we knew that we had to somehow or another dilute some of that power out of the hands of politicians and put it in the hands of the people. On election night in November of 2018, over 5.1 million people voted yes on Amendment 4. Let me put that number in perspective. We had over a million more people vote for Amendment 4 than for the governor of the state of Florida,
Wow.
right? And we had at least a million people who voted for Amendment 4 also voted for our current Republican governor of Florida, right? And so we were able to show that there was a broad cross section of support for Amendment 4. And let me tell you my favorite part. When I looked at those 5.1 million votes, right, I didn't see votes that was based on hate. I didn't see any votes that was based on fear. What I saw was votes that was based on love, forgiveness, and redemption. And I believe that on that night, that we in Florida showed the country, showed the world that love can in fact win the day. That we can move major issues without having to attack each other and tear each other down or to scare people to where we have neighbor hating neighbor or scared of neighbor scared of other neighbors, that we can bring a community together of diverse opinions, of diverse races, of diverse backgrounds, that we can organize along the lines of humanity. Where other people see obstacles, I see opportunities, right? And we can sit back and we can cry about what people are doing to us, or we can get up and we can do something about it. As a matter of fact, one of those books talk about it, right? Don't just march, no, run for something, right? Do something about it. Do something of significance and something substantive, right? That would ensure that you don't have to march anymore, right? And every government, if you talk about that you believe in democracy and you embrace democracy, then you should be engaging in things that allow the greatest number of American citizens to be able to participate in it. And if you're doing anything to limit anyone, right, especially if you're doing it based on how you think they may vote, then you're not engaging in these principles of democracy, right? Because if you are, then you're able, like I am able, to be right now in front of this group and say that when we were fighting for Amendment 4, that we were fighting just as hard for that person that wanted to vote for Donald Trump as we were fighting for the person that wished they could have voted for President Barack Obama. It didn't matter to us how people voted. What mattered most was that American citizens had the opportunity to participate in the most telling act of citizenship, and that's being able to vote. Right? Because at the end of the day, guess what the beautiful thing was? That no matter what the legislative did, the one thing that we had going for us is that our amendment is enshrined in the state constitution, right? And that amendment, what it did was it destroyed a 150-year-old Jim Crow law that said that you lost your right to vote for life unless the governor, unless a politician decides to give you that right back. And you would have to grovel at the feet of a politician. What Amendment 4 did was say, no, you're an American citizen and you don't have to beg no politician to be able to vote. Here's another pathway. And no matter what the legislature could have done, they still cannot erase the fact that an alternative pathway to be able to participate in democracy was created. And the only way that they can undo that is not by through legislation, but through a constitutional amendment. And they would have to go right back to the same 5.1 million people who voted yes on Amendment 4 and convince them that they made a mistake. It was a place that was just so sacred and pure, and it said something so simple but yet so powerful. It said, I am. I am. That my act of voting basically said that I am a human being. I am American citizen, that I matter. My voice counts. Mine went back to this woman named Barbara. And Barbara lived in the southeast Florida, well, almost call it Treasure Coast area. And as some of our canvassers was canvassing the community, they came across Barbara. And I think Barbara had some issues and we had to check it out. But once we seen that, okay, you know, she don't have outstanding fines and fees, she can register to vote. You know, one of our canvassers went to register her to vote. And as she was registering, as she was filling out the voter registration form, she started crying. And she made my canvasser cry too. And my canvasser was like, why are you crying? And she said, for over 24 years, I've been trying to register to vote. And I had come to believe that I would never, ever vote again in my life because of my drug addiction and because I have a felony conviction. Yet here I am right now in my house filling a voter registration form out. This is so surreal. And to add to that was the fact that prior to encountering Barbara, she had an encounter with her doctor who gave her 6 months to live. And as she signed her name on the voter registration form, she looked up and she asked that canvasser to pray that God would allow her to live long enough to cast that ballot. And that, when I got the story, it hit me right here because here I see a person that was given 6 months to live, and her dying wish was not to go to Disney World or an exotic location or to meet a celebrity or whatever. Her dying wish was to be able to feel what it felt like to be an American citizen and to be able to cast a ballot. And I understood what she was yearning for because I got to experience it. I got to experience it. And so that hit me so hard, and I was telling folks about her, and one person was like, hey, do you think she'd be willing to tell her story on camera? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll ask. And when I reached back out, that's when I was informed that 4 days after filling out a voter registration form, she died. She died, not getting a chance to experience that beautiful feeling that I experienced. I wanted to make a symbolic gesture. And when I first registered to vote, I registered as an independent to make a statement saying that we've fought too hard and too long to get the right to vote back, to just give it away to anyone, right? And that whether you're Democrat or Republican, you don't just get my vote because you have a D next to your name. You don't just get my vote because you have an R next to your name. No, you need to earn my vote. Let me tell you, when you walk into that voting booth, that is the one time that you have just as much power as Jeff Bezos, just as much power as the president of the United States. That voting booth is the ultimate equalizer because